Hunt with passion. Never stop casting. Chase the dream. Welcome to Season 4 of Muskie Mastery Outdoors. Brought to you by Joe Bucher Outdoors, #1 in big game fish products.
Hey guys, what is up, and welcome back to another Muskie Quick Tips segment here on Season 4. Today we have got a pretty nasty bluebird cold front. We got stiff north breeze, as you can see here. Mike, pan out, show these guys what we got behind this tree line here. It's been blowing much harder than this all day. And here's the good news though, guys. We've got a muskie in the net on the baby ShallowRaider here in sucker pattern. And I want to talk to you about two deadly cold front minnow bait tactics here that we've talked about, but I want to really go over them in detail here. This is hybrid technique 225. We've covered some 101 stuff, so I'm going to go over two of the ways that I work this bait, and we'll start with the probably the most known version of the hybrid technique that I've talked about, okay? And what I'm going to do here, you know, the hybrid technique in a nutshell is twitching the bait up close to the shallow cover, pausing it, slackline twitching it, and then cranking it in and finishing with a figure 8. The benefit of the hybrid technique when it comes to minnow baits is very simple. You get the best of both worlds. You're gonna maybe trigger a fish that'll hit on the pause, hit on the twitches and the erratic behavior, and then you're gonna crank the lure in. If a muskie doesn't hit it up there shallow on the twitching and pausing, you can then trigger them in and, you know, get them to follow into the figure 8, and that's another really, really good way to get these fish to hit. So when you're doing this technique with a minnow bait here like the baby SR, when you cast this thing up into the weeds, you want to remember horizontal or parallel to the water here with the rod is going to make this lure run shallow. And I can see this lure up very close to the surface. Look at my rod position here, guys. Parallel to the surface, slackline twitch, and then crank and finish with a good figure 8. If you've got really thick cover, you want to keep this rod parallel to the surface, okay? So I'm going to show you that once more. Cast it up there into the thick weed cover. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See the little slackline twitch there, guys? Slackline twitch, I did a number of them. It's not a big yank, it's just a twitch. It's a slackline twitch, and then you want to crank this lure right into the figure 8. You'd be surprised, I'd say almost more muskies on this hybrid technique are triggered by the straight retrieve portion of this tactic and then the figure 8. So that's one way to do this. If you've got deeper weeds, let's say I want to throw one out here on the deeper edge. Watch my rod now. See how I'm going downward? Deeper, downward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look at the slackline twitch here. Look at how light that is. The slackline twitch is not a very muscular thing, okay? And then we're going to crank right into the figure 8. That's the hybrid technique. Now, I want to share with you a different variation of the hybrid technique that led to our catch today, okay? And those of you who throw all the big rubber lures, your bulldogs, your medusas, your tubes, you guys and gals already do this tactic, okay? And what I'm going to show you, this different version of how I do the hybrid technique, is when you've got really thick cover. Even when your horizontal or your parallel rod movement doesn't quite cut it, okay? And you've got really thick cover. So let me show you that, okay? This is much more upward. And this is the extreme, whereas if we said downward rod movement made the lure run deeper, parallel to the surface made it run shallow. This is the ultra shallow version of the hybrid technique. It goes like this. Watch my rod here. See how I'm just pop, 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 pop. See, I'm going upward. Then you can slackline twitch it and crank it into the 8. I use this technique, like I said, when I've got really thick weed cover. Finish with a figure 8 just like usual. But I'm going to throw this stuff up in some thick cover, and instead of going parallel, I'm actually going up. See, I'm pop, pause, pop, pop. pause, pop, pop, pause, slackline twitch, come into the figure 8. This is just a phenomenal way to do that. It's just a variation of the hybrid technique that you can employ simultaneously with the parallel. So you can do one of these. Here's parallel. It's wristy. By the way, a common problem that folks do is this. It's the same thing we talked about in the last video, getting the body involved. We don't want to get the body involved in this. It's not these big muscular movements. Anything we're doing with this hybrid technique is very wrist and arm, forearm oriented, okay? And that's probably the biggest difference. Guys and gals ask, well, what's, am I doing it right? Well, when you're doing it like this, I would say no. When you're doing it like this, yes. It's a finesse thing, okay? Slackline twitch, finesse. Slackline twitch like this, no. It's this little pop, and that's what's going to turn that lure and trigger strikes. It's a finesse thing. So again, those are the different ways in which I am working these minnow baits in a north wind. This kind of tactic is very important when these muskies aren't moving, because you have to trigger the strikes yourself. You're not getting an environmental change today. That's when a lure like this is going to work really well. A couple things on the setup here. By the way, I'm using a short steel leader here. As you can see, if we tilt this sideways like that, that's the same length. It's about a 5-inch leader, okay, or a 6-inch leader there. That's the same size as the lure. Really important. If you're using really long steel leaders, it's going to mess up the buoyancy of the ShallowRaider, okay? So that's something to think about. Even 7-strand, I use 7-strand a lot. If you use fluorocarbon, that's cool too. But this is something you wouldn't want to use a 12-inch steel leader on a little lure like this. You're going to ruin the action of the bait. On the line, this is Joe Bucher Outdoors Beast Braid. This is 80-pound test. A lot of folks use 65 for this kind of application. I actually like 80. Because it runs shallower. When I'm doing this kind of technique, we're not fishing, the objective is not to fish deep. I want to keep this lure up above the cover, so 80 actually works really well for this. Small bait caster, and then this is, of course, the Legend Tournament Muskie Downsizer Series. This is the this is the LMD 710 medium power fast action. So that's the setup. Those are the two killer tactics when it comes to minnow bait fishing. So there you have it, guys. Mike and I gotta get going. That's Mike Richardson behind the camera, pro staffer. He's keeping us on the board this week, and we've got to go make something happen this afternoon. It's been, challenging day, 1 in the net, but we really want to make that 2, 3, or 4, and we've got plenty of time to do it. So we really hope you enjoyed this learning segment, and from all of us here, Mike Richardson, Brian Martin, Mike Conti, and of course myself, the pro staff here, we really hope you enjoy these videos. We really appreciate these subscribers out there, and all of you viewers that may not have subscribed yet. That's cool too. We love you, and we love all the support you guys have given us over the years. So anyway, as always, thanks for watching.
You're watching Season 4 of Muskie Mastery Outdoors. Be sure to tune in next week for more exciting and educational muskie and multi-species action.